Later that night, safe at home, the triplets gathered around their father. He knelt to their level, his voice steady and warm. "You saw what happened today," he said, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. "But you also saw what happens when truth stands up against hate. Never forget, your dignity is not something anyone can take away." His son nodded slowly, still shaken, but no longer ashamed. His siblings leaned closer, proud that their family had stood strong. The mother smiled faintly, exhausted but relieved. "We stayed calm. We didn't stoop to their level." The father looked at her and whispered, "And because of that, the world saw the truth." The lesson wasn't just for them. It was for everyone who watched, everyone who shared the story online, everyone who whispered never again as they clicked replay. Cliffhanger. Because this wasn't just one child's fight, it was everyone's.
The video cuts back to the scene, replaying the moment Ms. Dalton's face fell when she realized the boy's father was her ultimate boss. And then, silence. A voiceover breaks through. Injustice can feel overwhelming, but sometimes the tables turn in ways no one expects. What we saw wasn't just karma, it was proof that dignity can't be erased, no matter how hard hate tries. Images flash, passengers recording, tweets scrolling, the triplets smiling safely at home. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Speak it. Let's make sure that the next time someone abuses their power, the world is watching and ready to hold them accountable. The screen fades to black with bold white letters. Respect is not optional. Dignity is not negotiable. Soft outro music rises. Subscribe for more stories of justice, resilience, and truth. Together, we make sure no one can look away.
The story didn't stay on the plane. Within hours, passengers' videos went viral. Millions watched as Ms. Dalton's arrogance dissolved the moment the CEO's identity was revealed. Twitter erupted, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." Others wrote, "Imagine bullying a kid whose father literally signs your paycheck." News outlets picked it up. Headlines screamed, "Flight attendant fired after bullying CEO's son." Morning shows debated it. Civil rights leaders praised the family's composure while condemning the blatant discrimination. Inside the company, memos flew. Employees whispered, "Did you hear? The boss's kid was on that flight." Training programs were rushed into place. Leadership issued a public apology, pledging zero tolerance for bias. But beyond corporate spin, passengers who witnessed the event carried the real story. They told their friends, families, and followers, "I saw justice served in real time." But what mattered most wasn't the punishment, it was the lesson that echoed far beyond the flight.
The phone rang only twice before a deep, commanding voice answered. "Hello?" "It's me," the mother whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of humiliation. "They're threatening our son, right here, right now." Silence. Then a calm, steady reply. "Stay seated. Don't argue anymore. I'll handle this." The passengers around her could hear faintly. A ripple of curiosity ran through them. Who was she calling? Ms. Dalton smirked. "Oh, calling your husband? He can't help you here. My word is final on this aircraft." She had no idea. Minutes later, a call came through to the cockpit. The captain's face went pale as he read the message. He immediately stood, left the controls to his co-pilot, and hurried into the cabin. "Ms. Dalton," he said sharply, "step aside, now." Confused, she straightened. "Captain, with respect, I was handling—" "You're done handling anything." His voice carried authority that silenced the entire cabin. "You just humiliated the son of our CEO." Gasps filled the air. Ms. Dalton's face drained of color. Her confidence crumbled as passengers erupted into whispers. The CEO of this airline? Phones buzzed as tweets exploded. Flight attendant just messed with the boss's kid. Hashtags formed instantly. Hashtag CEO son. Hashtag justice on Flight 14. The captain turned to the mother. "Ma'am, on behalf of this airline, I deeply apologize. Your family will be taken care of." He then turned back to Ms. Dalton. "Gather your things, you're done." The woman sputtered. "You can't fire me here." But the truth was, she already was finished. Cliffhanger. By the time the truth came out, the oppressor's fate was sealed.
Passengers grew restless. The boy's mother pleaded again. "Please, stop embarrassing my son. Check the ticket." Ms. Dalton leaned closer, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Don't test me. If you don't move him, I'll have security escort him off this plane." Gasps erupted across the cabin. A teenager muttered, "This is discrimination, plain and simple." Another passenger whispered, "She's threatening a child?" The boy's lips quivered as tears pooled in his eyes. His sister clutched his hand tightly. His brother whispered, "Don't cry, it'll be okay." But nothing about it felt okay. The humiliation was unbearable. Passengers started murmuring louder now. Someone shouted, "Just check the ticket!" Phones were lifted, recording every second. Social media was already getting ready to explode. The mother's voice trembled, but her eyes hardened. She pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly to one contact. Her finger hovered before she pressed it. A single call that would unravel everything Ms. Dalton thought she controlled. But just when it seemed the victim had no power left, a single phone call changed everything. The triplets' father had built his empire from nothing. A black entrepreneur who faced racism at every step. He had once been denied a loan because of his skin color, told by bankers, "People like you don't succeed in aviation." Instead of breaking, he built stronger. Through relentless work, late nights, and unshakable determination, he grew from small contracts into owning one of the largest airline groups in the country. Yet, despite his wealth, he kept his family humble. His children flew economy sometimes, blending in with everyone else. "Never think money makes you better," he often told them. The boy at the center of this conflict carried his father's quiet strength. He loved math, dreamed of designing planes, and idolized his dad. To him, this flight was just another trip, until the humiliation began. He wasn't powerless. He was the son of the man who signed the paychecks of thousands of airline employees, including the very crew member now standing over him. Cliffhanger. And in this moment, the very strength they had built would become the oppressor's undoing.
The flight attendant, Miss Dalton, wasn't new to controversy. Her colleagues whispered that she carried herself with a superiority that was less about professionalism and more about prejudice. She had built a reputation for being tough, but passengers often described her as unnecessarily harsh, especially with families of color. Once, she had loudly questioned a Latino man about his passport mid-flight, humiliating him in front of everyone. Another time, she refused to help an elderly black woman stow her cane, muttering, "You people always need special treatment." What she lacked in empathy, she made up for in arrogance. To her, authority was a shield. She believed uniforms meant unquestionable power, that she could shame anyone without consequences. But what Miss Dalton didn't realize was that her choice today, targeting a nervous young boy in front of his siblings, wasn't just another power trip. It was the spark that would ignite a fire she couldn't control.
Her smirk grew as she loomed over the family. To her, this was just another day of keeping order. Cliffhanger. What the oppressor didn't know was that their target was not powerless.
The cabin wasn't just full of passengers, it was a stage set for conflict. Parents cradled babies, business travelers opened laptops, and families whispered about vacations. But row 14 became the epicenter of attention. The boy's siblings glanced at him in panic. His sister whispered, "Why us? What did we do?" Their mother's hands trembled as she tried again. "Please, check the manifest. We bought 3 seats together. He belongs here." But the attendant ignored her plea. "I've worked this route for years. Don't tell me how to do my job." Her words weren't just firm. They were dismissive, dripping with something colder. Around them, tension grew. A man in a suit leaned over, whispering, "This isn't right." Another passenger raised her phone higher, recording every second. The sense of outrage built like static in the air. The triplets shrank back into their seats, afraid of being dragged off, embarrassed that everyone was watching. For the passengers, this was no longer just about seating. It was about dignity, fairness, and whether someone would step in. But this was only the beginning, the moment before the storm.
The airplane buzzed with chatter, luggage still thumping into overhead bins as boarding wrapped up. In row 14, 3 children sat side by side, triplets, no older than 10. Their laughter was soft, nervous, the kind of joy kids carry into new adventures. Then silence fell, when a tall flight attendant stopped in front of them. Her gaze sharpened on the boy in the middle. "You can't sit there," she snapped, her tone dripping with authority. "That seat is reserved for paying customers. Move." The boy froze, cheeks flushing as if he had done something wrong. His mother leaned forward quickly. "Excuse me, ma'am, my son has a ticket. They all do." But the attendant's lips curled. "Don't argue with me. I know what I'm doing." Her eyes lingered on the boy's dark skin, her expression cold. Whispers rippled through the cabin. A man pulled out his phone. A woman muttered, "Why is she picking on him?" The boy looked down, fiddling with the buckle, too humiliated to speak. The injustice was clear, but no one knew. Someone powerful was already watching, and their silence would not last long. Cliffhanger. But who was really watching from the shadows?